So we're here today with UFC fighter Brett Johns, part of the Lisbon. First of all, Brett, I want to start from the very beginning with you today. How was it you got into the whole MMA aspect of it, and when eventually MMA, first of all martial arts?
I started martial arts when I was 4 years old in my dad's judo gym in Poplar. So my sister was already doing judo at that point. So my mother once took my sister to the gym and said, look, is it okay if Brett can come and Ashley can come to do judo? And the sensei at the time said, yeah, it was fine. So yeah, it was all good from there then really, and my sensei eventually was my stepfather in the end, so him and my mother got together and I did judo up to 16 years old, you know. There was loads of competitions, must have lost about 60 to 70% of them, but you know, that was the start of my martial arts career. I'm different to everybody else. Even the Welsh UFC fighters, I'm different to them because I got that Welsh language thing behind me. I'm a really passionate guy that I speak the language because it's opened up a lot of doors for me, and a lot of Welsh people, especially Welsh speaking people, have given me a lot of opportunities, and that's why I'm grateful for the language, you know. To me it's a really big deal. It's a huge deal, and not only that as well, it's only going to get bigger and more popular the longer we go on for. So yes, the Welsh language and Wales in general has always been behind me. I go away with the football a lot. I go away and watch Wales football. I've been in Moldova, I've been in Austria, and the support I get out there, like I walk down like the street with the guys and everybody's still asking for photos of the Welsh football team. And believe it or not, most of the support I get is from the north of Wales, you know what I mean? It's crazy that the North Walians are absolutely crazy for it. So it's massive, it's huge. It makes me different to everybody else, and I'm only going to keep rolling with this, you know what I mean? It's an amazing feeling, it's amazing to have that support behind you. I never had aspirations to become a world champion, you know what I mean? It was always about winning the British belt, you know? That's quite a big moment for me. That was the first British belt, that was my first proper belt. I'd won like an amateur belt, but you know, you're a professional fighter, you want to win the professional belts. And after that we signed for Cage Warriors, and you know, one of my best achievements, hands down, was fighting twice in one night for my world title, you know. They were one of the single most hardest things I've ever had to do. In total it was 40 minutes of fighting, and I got absolutely hammered for the full thing, you know. And if you look as an outside point of view, you would have gone, probably Brett might have lost them fights. But the way that the fights are judged, that I know how to win fights, I know what the judge is looking for. Like the David Hagstrom fight was one of my biggest tests of the day. I never lost a round to that point. I think I was like 9-0 I was 8-0 or 7-0 at the time. I hadn't lost a round yet. Hour and a half later then I was walking back in there to fight Jordan Desborough, and it was a close fight. It was a very close fight, you know. And it was 5 rounds, and it was such a tough fight, really, really tough fight. But managed to get the split decision in that and won the first world title for Wales.
The CWFC Bantamweight Champion of the World, Brett the Pikey Johns!
So the belt stays here in Wales, Brett the Pikey Johns!
I burst into tears, you know, young boy from Poplar fighting for the world title. Nobody at that point in Wales had ever won a world title. They'd fought for world titles but never won a world title. It was a tough journey. So I look at the times when, like, you know, people know my story. So I sold my car for £100 to live an extra month with my mother. You know, I was going through mad injuries, some crazy injuries. Some injuries that I couldn't even afford to pay for, really. I had all that. I was sleeping in a gym. I'd have like £2 out of my pocket, and that would be to buy food, not to buy a ticket home, you know. I needed to be in training the next day, so I needed to sleep in the gym. So yeah, them times are tough, and then you build that and talk to each other like building blocks, just to get to one thing, and that was the UFC. So then obviously getting that call, and they were like, oh, look, but to the UFC, it was a case of I've done it, you know. And we fight Kwan Ho Kwak for starters. You know, Kwan Ho Kwak was 9-0 at the time. He was a 2-time world champion with Top FC and Pacific MMA or something like that. Was over in Asia. So he was the number 1 prospect outside the UFC in Southeast Asia. I was the number 1 prospect in the UK, and Europe. So it was good to, they put that on. They said, look, you know, the two of you are the best guys out there. Well, let's fight for that spot, you know. We were going to Belfast, and the last thing my mother said to me, said, no matter what the result is, no matter what that first result is, you've done it. You know, I was the first Welsh guy to fight in the UFC. You know, that was a dream come true. I was the first ever Welsh guy to win a world title. I was the first ever Welsh guy to fight for the UFC. I was the first Welsh guy to eventually get ranked. And yeah, before 11 months, there's no pressure. And I just remember telling her back, look, it don't matter about the next 15 fights. I know I got to win this next fight. That's all I know. I know I have to win in Belfast. So we went out there the week, it went perfect, you know, and then they do the official weigh-ins, which is one of my absolute favourite things to do, is when you go on scales, give it a little flex and you face off with your opponent. It was one of the things, because I've watched UFC like since I was young. I used to watch the guys on the scales and just think, wow, I want to do that, you know, and to do that in Belfast, and all the Welsh boys had the bucket hats on with the Welsh football jerseys on and stuff. And the fight itself, though, going up the next day, I remember I'd wake up the next day and I was sitting in my room, my three-corner one was sleeping in bed. You know, I'd put on a lot of weight, and I was sitting there, like I mean, in a case of 30 hours sometimes, I'll put on about 20 pounds, 21 pounds. They call you out, they go, Brett, you got 5 minutes, you got 5 minutes, and Brett, you got 2 minutes, you got 2 minutes, and then they go, Brett, come through, and you've got to walk through the hall. And then as you're walking through the hall, you see UFC officials on the right and the left, you see paramedics on the right and the left, you see everybody there as you walk into the fight. And they're all looking at you, they're all staring at you, you know what I mean? And there's this pressure before you've even walked into the arena. Now there's 10,000 people in the arena, but we haven't seen them yet, you know? And I've walked on the corner and they've shut the curtains, completely shut it. So Quack has walked in first, my opponent, he's walked in first. And they go, Brett, come through the curtain. As I walk through the curtain, just at the fluke that all my friends and family were standing right next to me in the whole arena. And then I look straight on ahead of me and I'm screaming and yelling. And I always scream and yell before fights, something I do. I usually scream like one word things like let's go or my time. I think in Belfast it was let's go for some strange reason. That's one thing I shout. And I look up and McGregor's like, Paul McGregor's standing in front of me about 2 meters away, and he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and he's nodding his head and says like, good luck, go out there, do your best, you know. And it was surreal at that point. It all clicked into place where I was, what I was doing, you know. I got the guy who just won two UFC titles the week earlier, and now he's nodding, and I'm on my way to my first UFC fight. And at that point I knew I've made it. The years of sacrifice, I've actually made it. There's no turning back. I'm in the venue, I'm walking to the fight. I'd never actually gone to a UFC event, never watched one. I couldn't afford it, you know. So my first UFC event I went to, I was walking to the cage to fight in it, you know. And the first round was such a dominant grappling fight. So I went in there, hit 7 takedowns in the first round, kept the top of it, hit ground and pound. I hit 7 takedowns in the first round. I remember looking at the clock in the first round thinking how long's left, because that's what you do as fighters. Sometimes you get against the fence, you got like a quick second break, you look at the clock, you look at the massive screens around the arena, and you go, I've got 3 minutes left. 3 minutes. And like 2 minutes has gone in the first round, and I'm like, I'm quite tired here, you know what I mean? So then I started showcasing my boxing and my striking side of things in the second round, hitting with a flying knee, which people went crazy about. It was one of the things that I practiced that move the week before I was going out to Belfast. It was one of the things the same thing again, similar sort of thing, look down, aim high, so I act as if I'm going down and shoot up high with a flying knee, and that landed peach. But like, I remember hitting him with that thinking, right, he's in the mid-air, and once it landed I thought, right, he's going to be on the floor. And I looked back, he was still standing there. It's like that famous film, them bar fights. You know the bar fights you get, and there's a big guy there, and they're all fighting, and the guy puts a stool over his back, and then he just turns around and looks at you. He doesn't do nothing. Now that's what it was like, and I was like, oh, what am I going to do to put this guy down? And this was a bit of an amateur mistake by me. In the third round, you watch the fight back, I take a back step, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I won the first 2 rounds. And you can't do that at that level. So then when the third round comes out, and he comes out like a bull in the china shop, he hits me with all sorts of shots, and I'm getting hit with everything, knees, punches. Managed to get the takedown early on, but did take a lot of punishment before that. And the last 20 seconds then, something came over me, I don't know what it was, and it was like unexplainable. It was as if like someone put a wet blanket over me, and I was like, oh, I had no energy left. And then the buzzer went to the end of the fight, and I just remember looking at the crowd gave a hell of a cheer, because it was. I've always been known for being a sort of like not the most exciting fights, but the crowd really enjoyed that. And for me, that's what it's all about. It's all about enjoying that fight and making the crowd enjoy the fight. And to this day, looking back, that was my favourite fight. That was the fight, not my best fight, that was my favourite fight, because I showcased so many different things in my game, and it opened a lot of people's eyes. It's such a hard job to have, physically, mentally, you know, it's a tough job. You know, it's not me trying to, you know, over-exaggerate you, it really is. The little things, like you can come back from a bad day's training and things aren't going well, you take a lot of stuff out on your family without really realising you do, you know. My girlfriend's a big one for that, you know, I do take a lot of stuff out on her. but she understands, you know. It was like a couple of weeks, it was 10 weeks before the fight, and I'm absolutely steaming drunk in Moldova watching the football, and then I get a call from BBC Wales saying that UFC have announced the fight, and I'm like, what? And then again, they've announced the fight, you fight in 10 weeks, you fight Joe Soto, and I'm like, but I'm drunk in Moldova. They're like, yeah, we'll just get back to training on Monday. I think, it's not a bad thing, but when I hear I've got a fight, I get really bad anxiety, I stop drinking, I stop eating rubbish, I stop then, you know, as soon as I know like the fight is on. So yeah, to fight in Vegas was huge, and I remember I've been there twice this last year already, and we got there, me and my brother, and it was like more or less night time, and we got a taxi to where we were staying, and I remember just driving through Vegas, and you see the bright lights, and it's the best expression I've ever had about Vegas was this Disneyland for adults. It's an absolutely amazing place, and we come to the official weigh-ins. I managed to square off with Joe Soto. It's the first time I've met Dana White, Daniel Cormier, you know, Sean Shelby's there, met him a few times, I met him there. It was a bit awkward before the fight, that's before we walked out. It was really a bit awkward, because usually they put your opponent in a different room, so you can walk out. And I like to scream before a fight, and so did Soto. Soto was behind me, literally about 2 or 3 meters away, and he was screaming, and then I was screaming, and it was as if we were having a screaming competition, but it wasn't like that. I was trying to hype ourselves up. I was the first in this time, so I walked in the cage, but he was in the cage, and I remember him running up to me, trying to be a bit funny, I think, running up to me before the fight, just to get me startled or something. And I remember just looking at him thinking, I'm big, you know. They weighed us before we walked in that cage. I'd put on 21 pounds, you know. I was big for that fight, you know. I was quite agile on my feet, so I remember like getting to the fence, and I think he was thinking about throwing a kick, but then I stepped in the pocket, and I remember going back in, and I threw a left hook, left hook, right uppercut, and he was startled, he didn't like it, so he shot for the takedown. And like, at the time it happened, I thought the fight was about 2 or 3 minutes long. I thought I'd caught him in an arm bar, I didn't realise what I actually did, until someone got me afterwards and said, you know, you just did the calf slice, you know. And looking back at the fight on TV, I was setting that up before I hit the floor, but at the time I thought it was just another fluke, you know, and they landed in it, you know, and literally just was walking the venue, just screaming my head off, and then it kind of hit me head. This was your biggest test to date, and it was 30 seconds long. So a little bit of me though, like everybody knows, like going back to the Quack fight and the Morales fight, they were wars, they were 3 decisions. The Morales fight, I left with a broken nose, two massive bruises into my eyes, and then like obviously Quack was the same thing again, and then this time didn't have a punch thrown at me for starters, you know, didn't have a punch thrown at me, didn't have no bruises, it felt brilliant, and for me that was somewhat disappointing, because I didn't feel like I was in that fight. I won the fight, and in my head I gained a lot of experience. That was my toughest fight to date. I want to see how well I would do against him in a 15-minute fight. But then again, I'm not going to not take that opportunity if it comes. And you know, that night we were lucky to get the finish. I'm a very respectable person. I was brought up in the judo game, which, you know, we always do respect our opponents. And you know, I'm not going to talk trash about Joe. Joe was one of the best in the game, someone who I've looked up to. I remember the time he fought TJ for that belt. I remember watching it in my mate's bedroom, watching the fight and thinking how much of a good fight he did put up. You know, he took him 5 rounds, got caught in the 5th round, but still put a hell of a performance on. After the fight, mind, you know, words get said even from their camps. You know, they're not happy with something. I read a lot of stuff on Soto's Facebook that a lot of his fans were abusing me. It's just, that's part of my job. You know, I got to do it. And I think it's quite important to stay humble, but then again, I'm not going to lie then when someone's talking trash about me. You know, I'm gonna say something back. You know what I mean? And you know, now we're getting to the upper echelon of the division, and we're talking about the best guys in the world and some of the best trash talkers in the world as well. So you know, I can't wait to see what the next 12 months holds.